Good evening. This is Fernando Lopez coming to you today, just after we had a couple of days of pretty harsh, severe weather. I thought I'd do a little podcast, a little blog, and give you some information on car accidents, specifically when there's very rainy days. A lot of people, as we've seen already, it just takes a couple of hours of harsh weather and rain to flood the streets. And that tends to cause a lot of chaos. And of course, that causes accidents. So, naturally, there are many accidents that happen when the streets are wet outside. And so there's different types of scenarios that happen. And one of the ones I wanted to touch on because I've gotten it in some of the comments, and it's like, well, what if there's multiple vehicles involved? When there's hydroplaning, how do you identify who's at fault? So that's one of the questions, and I'm going to get into it some more on some other topics. But I wanted to start there just because I thought it was a very interesting question. It was a good question, so I want to cover that. Um, so who's at fault in a hydroplaning or multi-car accident? Well, the answer isn't always so simple, right? There's a lot of factors involved. Everybody's going to have their point of view, and everybody might point the finger unless you got a very honest person that just says, yeah, it was me. I was on the phone, I was speeding, or what have you, and they just kind of seal the deal. But that's not really often the case. So what happens? Police officer gets to the scene, he's going to interview everybody, and based on his experience, he's going to do some investigation work, take some photos, do some measurements, ask all the right questions, and then, of course, hopefully make a decent assessment as to who is at fault. Uh, and it's always a mistake that people make when they're involved in these types of accidents to kind of be confused or unsure of what to respond or what to say to the police officer because they don't know if they're at fault. But ideally, you should never admit you're at fault um, unless it's absolutely clear that you were at fault because you don't know honestly. Unless you were speeding, unless you were on your phone, you're going to get out and say, "Yeah, I was speeding. Sorry, I was on my phone. It's my fault." But if you're driving along and all of a sudden your car hydroplanes, you don't know if you're at fault or not. Let the police officer make that determination. As a part of that kind of scenario, there's also the issue of, well, what if there's poor road conditions which are caused by a crash? So that's another type of situation. Another question I get is what happens when uh, there's picture this: you're driving in a storm, water is covering part of the road. Suddenly, your vehicle hits a large pothole. You lose control and you crash. Could someone else be responsible? Possibly. Road hazards like potholes, standing water, pool drainage, missing warning signs, unsafe construction zones. A lot of people are surprised to learn that in certain cases, government entities, contractors, third parties that are subcontracted to, uh, they may be responsible because they were negligent in not covering that pothole. They were negligent in not providing adequate safety measures to let the people know that there was a dangerous condition there. Um, so these are tougher. These are not obviously your normal situations, normal car accident situations, but nonetheless, they're real cases or viable cases, and people need to be aware of that. So if you're involved in that kind of a car accident, um, take some pictures. Make sure you take some pictures, take some notes. Make sure you can get as much information. So when you decide to hire a lawyer, you go to the lawyer and say, "Hey, Mr. So and so, Miss So and so, this is what happened. I believe that there was some kind of a negligent condition. Maybe it was a contractor. I took a picture of a company truck that I saw nearby, and I think they're responsible for that." So that helps in those situations. So all the evidence you can gather, it's better for your case from the beginning. As I said, you want to, investigate, document standing waters, potholes, those sorts of things, any damage signs, etc. So all of that goes to, gathering as much evidence as you can from the very beginning. So when you present it to the lawyer can quickly identify, what kind of cases is and how quickly we need to respond. Because in a lot of these cases, time is of the essence. So we want to make sure that, we preserve the evidence. We want to make sure that you, the client, are being treated well. If you're injured, you're going to go to the hospital, etc. We want to make sure all those things are done right. Your health is taken care of, and of course, your loved ones are safe, and your property, right? Your property is your car, and everybody needs a car. Nobody wants to be without a car. So that's really a pain in the ass to be out without a vehicle, and we understand that. So we want to make sure we take care of those things right away as quickly as possible for you. Okay, another scenario I wanted to discuss. This is I had a similar case to this. What about you hit a pedestrian or a cyclist in the rain? This is a very difficult case. We want to imagine you're driving through a neighborhood in heavy rain. Visibility is poor. Your windshield is covered with water, and suddenly, you got a cyclist or a pedestrian that appears right in front of you. A collision happens. What do you do? Well, of course, you call first responders. They come to the scene. You're never going to leave the scene. You make sure that the person you hit is attended to by medical professionals. But again, as bad as you may feel in the moment, as guilty as you may feel in the moment, you don't know if you're at fault. So you shouldn't feel the obligation to tell a police officer, yeah, I hit him. Well, that's true, but who was at fault? Did the pedestrian not pay attention? Was he not watching the road? Was he inebriated on some kind of a drug that threw his balance off? Was a cyclist not paying attention, etc.? So we want to make sure that obviously you take care of, make sure this person that's injured, that may be lying on the ground, make sure that they're taken care of. You call the ambulance, get them to the hospital, get those things taken care of. And then document, again, goes back to documentation. Document what you can, what's prudent in the moment, and make sure when you talk to the officer, again, we're not trying to evade responsibility, but we're not trying to accept responsibility if it's not our fault. So don't feel that need to say, yeah, I did it. So, as we're going through this, some of the next steps would be, what do you do immediately after a rain-related accident? And so this is kind of a general background, general guideline as to what you should do. Check for injuries, call emergency services, document everything, get a medical evaluation, be careful talking to insurance companies. That's always standard protocol. Insurance companies, we all have insurance. We all need it. Health insurance, auto insurance. But when they're on the other side and they're trying to prove that, you weren't injured and maybe it was your fault, it's probably not a good idea to talk to insurance companies without a lawyer, fighting for you. So that's always key, right? Getting the medical attention is super important. A lot of people, I've been in an accident myself, and so I know what it feels like. I know the frustration, the stress. Sometimes you're not feeling pain in the moment because you're just angry, or you just want to get home. You're embarrassed. You're in the middle of an expressway and cars are coming by. Everybody's looking at you. And so you're feeling all kinds of different things in your body at the moment. Maybe you had a bad day at work, and this is the culmination of an entire day of bad news. But you got to make sure that if you're feeling anything, report it, say it, go to the doctor, go to the hospital, go to urgent care, and make sure you get yourself treated That's super important. And again, I can't stress this enough. I know I keep going back to this. I've said it 4 or 5 times. Document what you can. Considering all things considered, you're in the middle of this accident. That's the last thing you're thinking about probably is taking pictures of stuff, or taking notes, but it's very important. And of course, after you've done all that, you need to call an experienced lawyer. You need to call somebody that not only knows what they're doing, but they respond right away and you get action right away. There's a lot of people that talk a big game out there, and but they don't move quickly and they don't have that action that you need. You want to see results, and you want quality results. You don't want to just be treated like you're in a mill. You're just coming in and you're going out. You're just another number. That's not what we do here at Lopez Law Group. That's not the way I operate and what our motto is. So remember, you got to call an experienced lawyer. So just going back, speaking about, before we end this, is, one kind of final topic I wanted to just touch on. This is really just sort of an all-encompassing, some all-encompassing notes on what we've been discussing so far. And so there's one message I want you to remember today. It's this: rain does not remove your rights. Okay. A lot of people assume that because bad weather was involved, nobody can help them. That simply isn't true. Every accident has a story. Every accident has facts. Whether your accident involved hydroplaning, multiple vehicles, dangerous road conditions, standing water, poor drainage, a cyclist, a pedestrian, any weather, rainy weather scenario, you deserve answers. And at the Lopez Law Group, we understand how overwhelming this can be. Medical bills start arriving, and that is super stressful. Medical bills, nobody likes to get medical bills. You got insurance and you go to the doctor and you go to the hospital, and then all of a sudden you get another bill and you still owe something. It's a terrible feeling. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there don't have insurance at all. And that's the worst feeling. So, but we can't hold ourselves back if we don't have insurance. We can't say, man, I don't have insurance. I shouldn't go to the hospital. Because what happens if you do that? When you hire a lawyer later on, and your lawyer's trying to make the case based on good facts, good evidence, good arguments that, hey, my client was injured, this was a bad accident. Well, why didn't they go to the doctor if they were so injured? Why didn't they go to the hospital? And so, it's very important that you take care of yourself out there. That's what I, pretty much wanted to cover. Again, this is, it's been a rainy couple of days down here in South Texas. We probably needed the water, honestly, but be careful out there and make sure and pay attention. Make sure that if it is raining, you're following the speed limit. You're checking weather reports. You're checking your local news. You're checking whatever social media that you can get access to, so you can see, hey, is there flooding going on in this zone or that zone? I got stuck myself not too long ago. Unfortunately, I was able to get out of it, but I saw a bunch of cars that were stranded. So it's very important that you take care of yourself out there. Again, we appreciate your comments. We appreciate your likes. We appreciate that you are putting your faith and your trust in the Lopez Law Group. Again, we're trying to be different. We're not running a mill here. We're running a law office that takes care of its clients, that listens to every client, that gives access to clients, to me personally, to my cell phone, as I've said, over the years. That hasn't changed. So take care of yourself. Thank you for tuning in today to these videos. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you.